Singing in our thing can only get better. It can only get, take it all from me, you know. I know that things can only get better.
Hello, we're here to do our, Keith on my left, and obviously Chris, the General Manager of the league. Round 14, some interesting results there, Keith. We had Terrelgan playing Bairnsdale, and it was Bairnsdale's chance to try and upset another team above them, but they didn't come up with the goods.
No, well, it was. It looked as if this was do or die for Bairnsdale, as they couldn't win. They'd have dropped 2 games, a lot of percentage out of the 5, but they're still in the hunt despite being beaten because of Warrigal's upset of Wonthaggi. So keeps that interest going for another week. Leongatha had a win over Druin, and now I reckon there's some sort of chance of making the 5, but I think the odds of that are very, very long.
Yeah, and we had Sale, who had they're just barnstorming their way through the season. They had another big victory against Moe, who's struggling a bit, but Sale, just 2. Mitch Davis kicked 8, Kane Fraser 6. Fraser's broken the record there for games, but he's still one of their key players.
Yeah, well, those 2 guys, Mitch and Kane, have now kicked 100 goals between them for the year, and that's really a major contribution from 2 forwards. Terrific effort. The thing that I'm finding fascinating is the 5 and the order it goes in. Will certainly perhaps have gone a long way to assuring a double chance with its win over Mafra.
Yeah.
But even so, things can change a fair bit over the last 4 rounds. I think Sale will stay on top, but I've looked at all the scenarios from 2nd to 5th. It just blew my mind, so I gave up on trying to come up with some thoughts on what the order might be. It could finish anywhere. It'll come down the last round, and double chances could come down to percentage.
And then we had Warrigal cause the upset of the round by they kicked 5-4. It was a low-scoring match, but they hung in there all day and ended up 5-4, defeating Wonthaggi 4-6.
Yeah.
So that was it was a shot in the arm for the Warrigal boys.
Yeah, well, I think I've written it that Wonthaggi looks as if it's becoming the North Melbourne of the Gippsland League, with 5.6 points and 4-point losses 3 weeks in a row. But they didn't kick a goal after quarter time, and when I sort of made some phone calls on Sunday, I thought, did they get the bad weather everyone else got? And they said no, not until really late in the day, and the ground held up pretty well all day and got a little bit choppy at the finish. But an incredibly low scoring game. You think it's they'd have played in conditions like existed at Druin at the weekend.
Well, see, Wonthaggi, I was speaking to Brett, the president of Wonthaggi, today, and they've got 11 key players that are injured at the moment. They're actually hoping that, get over the next week, and then they'll have the week's break, and hopefully 3 or 4 players will come back. The unfortunate thing there is Aaron Ware. He's out for the year. He's got 2 fractures of the cheekbone, so it looks like he's finished for the year. They're hoping to get a couple of, Earl Shaw back, who, they've got some long-term injuries, but hopefully they, for their sake, they get over this week, and with the week's break in the split round, they're hoping that they can finish off the year pretty strong.
Yeah, well, the loss of Earl Shaw sort of then caused another problem. Like Chris Wiley's got to go out of the forwards into the ruck, and Cook hasn't played for a number of weeks now, so they're struggling. They got Moe this week, so maybe that's a chance for a bit of breather. But some really good results. Terrelgan's now jumped into 3rd place, where they didn't look like getting that not long ago, but they're up to 3rd, and they'll take some shifting. The big game was Morwell versus Mafra, and a really good win for Morwell, bouncing back after their shock defeat up at Bairnsdale. Didn't need Lockyer and Rocker, and did the job without them, but their defence obviously and their midfield, my understanding, was very good, and their defence was was very good. Kept the guns from Mapford, Sheehan, Edgegood and McGill to 4 goals between them after they kicked 30 the week before.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're just looking at the goal kickers there. You've got Manon Johnson, who's kicked 3, but, you know, you look at the leading goal kickers, you've got McDonald and Johnson who'll kick 29 each, so they've got a good, you know, a couple of good little forwards there. They probably miss a key forward kicking goals, but they've got a good spread of players that are kicking them.
They spread it around a bit. They're not a side that goes out and kicks 26, 27 goals against anyone really, but they're just good. They play winning football and
very well set up.
Very, very important win for them. Mapford have slipped to 4th, so they'll find it pretty hard to get back into a double chance position, I think, with their draw. And Wonthaggi, who on paper has the easiest run home, now has a real battle to get back in a double chance position.
Well, it's interesting there, you know, the leading goal kicker, I think he kicked 17 the week before and he's dropped down to 1 this week, so...
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, I mean, he's leading there with 81 and I think, what have we got, 4 rounds left to see if he, I suppose everyone at Mapper would be hoping he can reach his ton, but we'll see how that goes.
I think he did guarantee him a ton before the start of the season.
He might get he might be on a bonus. All right, we've got Lee and Gather at Druin. Lee and Gather travelled over to Druin and I wasn't there, but I was informed that the ground wasn't in too bad a nick until the rain came, and then that spoilt everything.
Yeah, well, actually, early on, it was a lot better than I'd expected because we had very heavy rain Thursday night and Friday night. We played very well for the junior games, and then there was just a deluge about halfway through the 3rd quarter of the reserves game, and necessitated the lights coming on during the 3rd quarter of the reserves. And I've, you know, been on footy on some gloomy days, but I've never seen it that gloomy that early. But yeah, the ground was just a swamp by the time the seniors took to it, and by the time they finished it, the Everglades almost.
And I see there, Cade Maskell, he's kicked 5. I mean, he's come from the Alberton League and he's sitting on 49 goals, so he's had a good first year into Gippsland League.
Oh, he's an excellent player, and the fact that anyone's able to kick 5 goals there at Druin on Saturday, you know, just showed he's a quality player no matter what the circumstances. Was almost impossible to pick best players. Nobody could, you know, sustain a good 4-quarter game. That was just an impossibility. And but they came out on top, 3 wins in a row to them. So their season's had a bit of a spurt along, and a bit of a lift.
Okay, well, we've got a split round this week. There's 3. It's round 15, and we've got 3 games, so we'll discuss them. And the first one is Lee and Gather versus Warrigal, which is traditionally a bit of a rival match there.
Yes, they do play for the Hemming Shield,
right?
It is, or Hemming Cup, in honour of a person who had a long association with both clubs. But it's interesting game. Warrigal, they were going to, always had the potential to cause a bit of an upset along the way, and they did last week, and that should give them a bit of a lift to perhaps have another one at Lee and Gather. They beat Lee and Gather earlier in the year, so they'll go in feeling pretty confident.
I think it'll be a very tight match actually, because, as I say, they play for a shield, but they always seem to be, it's nearly local derby status, although we've got the Strzelecki's in between, but that's how they seem to attack this game between each other.
Maybe they all come down out of the mountains. But yes, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a really interesting game. Lee and Gather got a bit of a run on, so that's good for them. Warrigal should have a bit of confidence, and I think, if they can get another couple of wins before the season's over, it's coming out as a reasonably positive year for them, and something to really step forward from next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, game-wise, they're actually, we know they can't make the 5, but they're only 3 games out.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, for all the games they lost and all the injuries they had, and they're starting to come back, and, you know, it's just, it is a great finish, and, I mean, they've got a chance to win, you know, a couple more through the year, and they could end up with 8 or 9 wins, which is a pretty good season in the end. Okay, we then move on to Moe hosting Wonthaggi. Now, Moe's, you know, struggling a bit, but Wonthaggi's depleted with injuries, so this isn't an easy game for Wonthaggi.
Not an easy game, but, and despite the fact that they've had a few losses in the last 3, they've only been very narrowly, you know, including to Sale by 5 points at Sale. I still think they've probably just got enough to get over Moe. I don't know what the weather's going to be like at the weekend, but if it comes down a bit wet and a bit boggy up there, you know, conditions that Wonthaggi's not all that used to. Yeah, you never know. And there's that core of 4, 5, 6 good experienced players at Moe. If they all can get their hands on the ball in the one game, yeah, they can cause some problems.
Well, they've got young Jacob Wood, who's been playing very well, and then the young kid Casson coming in. Sorry, I haven't put that on silent.
This is Terry Flynn calling.
Okay, so all right, so I think, you know, Wonthaggi should get over the line, but it won't be an easy one. Okay, on the Sunday we have, which is probably the game of the, or should be the game of the round, is Bairnsdale hosting Sale. Sale, you know, travelling along nicely, but Bairnsdale, one would think this is their last-ditch effort. You know, if they drop this, they'll be, you know, start preparing for what they're going to do over the off-season. But if they can win, they're still in with a chance to make the 5, you know, figuratively speaking.
Yeah, well, I don't think they can win. Yeah, I think they're just a couple of good players short of being a genuine finals contender. You know, I think their chance of probably staying in the race, and don't get offended by this Bairnsdale, but their chance of staying in the race for the 5 probably is more dependent on Moe beating Wonthaggi than their chance of beating Sale. I'd love to see Bairnsdale get up. I think it'd be fantastic. We haven't had sort of shocks like that this year, and I'd love to see them win it, but I just don't think you can beat a Sale side that to me looks as if it's just really building. They're getting a couple of players back, and you know.
Well, they're just coming along very nicely. As we said before, Davis, Fraser, you know, Kane Martin's playing very well. They've got a, you know, young kid, Brenton Reeves there. He's fitted in very nicely. He's just out of their under 18, so they seem to be able to blood him in there and teach them all the right things, and they're travelling very well.
They've got a bloke named Collins who sort of sets up the game pretty well. There's a young Josh Dunkley. He was back for last week's game, and yeah, I think and Desmond Andrew Quirk played last week, so I think things are just starting
coming along very nicely.
The only problem, Matt Ferguson still wasn't on the ground, and well, he says his injuries are only bits and niggles, so sort of niggles that seem to last for a long while.
A bit more than general soreness, is it?
Yeah, but it'd be great to see him back, because he really is one of the showcase footballers in the league, and you'd like to see him back, especially for the finals.
Okay, so yeah, so you're tipping obviously Sale to win there, and as I said, that's the only 3 games we've got there. We tried to get our chairman of the finals subcommittee on, but
he said he's not chairman.
Oh, right, okay, so fair enough then. I thought you were going to go along with that one.
But seeing you've spoken finals, I think next week you should come along armed to explain to everybody what is going on with the finals, how much you're going to sting us to get in, where you can park your car, where you can't, whether you're going to have marquees, whether they're going to be behind a hill or on top of a hill, or what. You know.
Oh, we'll have
fill us in with all the detail.
We'll have everything ready and waiting for you. No worries at all. With that, thank you very much, and hopefully we see you all next week.